God damn, Gary. Some serious gourmet shit. What flavor is this?
That's right, it's the all-hell medium roast private blend.
Check out the Geek Grind Coffee Nerdrotic page for our other options like the Decadent,
Feathers of Liberty,
vanilla-infused flavored coffee.
or if you're looking for something darker, try the Dark Roast FNT blend of the Fellowship. You know what? Just buy all three. GeekGrindCoffee.com. Use discount code Nerdrotic. Huzzah!
Look upon my work and despair.
The way you are just so graceful and respond and don't.
Weird.
It's just the most beautiful thing to see. Because it's hard being women under the spotlight. People are so critical.
It's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that
She's
is
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince.
Yeah, how has that been for you, being able to navigate it?
You know, choosing thankfulness and
Yes.
gratefulness is choosing peace.
The cartoon was made 85 years ago, and therefore it's extremely dated.
Shut up, bitch!
You look goofy. Woke.
It looks like Chuck's taking the skin boat to Tuna Town.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
My mind is a raging torrent, flooded with rivulets of thought, cascading into a waterfall of creative alternatives.
God darn it, Mr. Lamar. You use your tongue prettier than a $20 whore.
I learned a long time ago that there's no sense getting all riled up every time a bunch of idiots give you a hard time. In the end, the universe tends to unfold as it should. Plus, I have a really large penis. That keeps me happy.
Go fuck yourself. Is that clear? I hope it is. Hey, Bob.
Do you want to take a life? Do you want to cross that line? Because it's a long way back from hell.
Nerdrotic.com.
Now you're unmuted.
I'm unmuted now. I really know. Oh, yeah.
I forgot I double muted.
It's okay.
I double muted. But they can hear me. Just not you, which was good. Anyway, I mean,
All right.
let's
What
be
can you
real.
say, man?
Hey, it's a sausage fest here on today's Nerdrotic Nooner because we are without
People.
Exode Goo, who's on assignment in China. We sent her to China to go topple the communist regime all by herself. So it's just us on a Wednesday, on a hump day, talking about Civil War.
Oh, my God.
It's Civil War. That's why I'm wearing a beanie.
Oh my oh God. Yeah, well, oh my God. Okay, yeah. I mean, look, Tim Pool has been talking about Civil War for so long. It's like Chicken Little. But now like Hollywood has a movie coming out through A24, which is Warner Brothers, by the way. That's Warner Brothers. That's Warner Brothers Media. They have a small subsidiary company called A24 that has excellent taste in small little indie movies. And Alex Garland.
Most of the time. Not all the time. Not all the time.
Movies. Sometimes some of them blow up, whatever. I like A24 a lot. And Alex Garland, I like as a filmmaker. He's a huge, I met him at the Tribeca Film Festival. We had a whole conversation about Logan's Run being one of our all-time favorite, like classic sci-fi movies. And he loves sci-fi. He genuinely loves sci-fi. So somebody tasked him, because it's written and directed by him. Somebody tasked him with like, hey, could you write and do this movie? Or maybe he pitched it. I don't know. But I watched the trailer this morning and we had such a good Dune Part 2 trailer. Amazing. The new one. I feel like they're showing too much. I don't want no more trailers from Dune. I
agree.
And it's great. But this trailer, oh God, I was just shaking my head going, oh no.
Yeah. I saw some people on Twitter. I mean, because we'll get into it. We're going to go over the trailer and we'll get into it. There's a certain frame where this could be a really interesting movie, but I think it's a 99.9% chance that they're going to take the 2016 frame of mind, right. Which is primed for election year next year. Next year's going to be crazy. But I think there's a possibility it might not be as crazy as everybody, like 2020. Okay. Right. You know. It might not be. It might be crazy online, but I meant IRL.
I just think if a particular side wins, that there'll be riots and they'll feel justified in destroying things.
Sure, if they're funded by that party that funded them last time. But yeah.
And this movie's like the blueprint. It's like, this is how it could happen.
Maybe. Like, I don't know enough about. Maybe you know more about it than I do. I only watched the trailer once, but I want to kind of go over it a little bit here. And then, of course, there's the other Civil War in woke Hollywood, which is going to be brought on by lack of content. And I emphasis on the word content. That there are voices within the industry that have been sick and tired of this woke shit for a long time. Chris and I have talked to them, but they've been silenced. And now they're feeling a little more emboldened because in all spheres, as the glorious Mark Millar said, cancel pigs are losing their power. Rachel Zegler, cancel pig. You want to know what a cancel pig is? Rachel Zegler. She tried to cancel Jeremy Renner. She tried to cancel Gina Carano. She is a cancel pig.
She tried to cancel Walt Disney. If you think about it, like, oh, this 80-year-old movie. It's really disgusting that she wasn't better coached. I really don't blame her. I feel like she's surrounded by people who think this, so she just parrots what they say, and she doesn't really have. I've met enough actresses to come to the conclusion that they don't have many thoughts of their own. Sorry. That goes for actors as well.
Unfortunately, that does not absolve you of responsibility. Ignorance does not. I didn't know stealing was against the law. Well, you still go to jail. So, but I agree. I think she's just surrounded by a bunch of dumb people, and maybe her agents or whatever got around her and told her to shut the hell up because her tune is a lot different now, which is interesting. But so to get back to that, like, I don't know if it's going to work. I don't know if it turns into a full-blown civil war, but there are people working within the industry who feel like they can talk a little more now. Does that change anything? I don't know. I mean, we have Kevin Feige, Kathleen Kennedy, Bob Iger. We have kind of the same people trying to I think we're late enough in the stream, unfuck what they have fucked up. And I think that's exactly who you don't need to unfuck it. Like, you need to get rid of them. So we'll see. As they completely reshoot Captain America 4 without Captain America. Maybe they're going to put Captain America in it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't understand why you wouldn't. Chris Evans is around. You could throw him in the makeup. You could have him like he has to have. How could you make
There
that movie
is an
not
older
have a
version of Cap that shows up in the comics. That's like old man Cap that can still kick ass, right?
Well, he still has superpowers. I don't get
Yeah.
it. Like, do they ever explain that Sam Wilson doesn't have superpowers? And then the dumbest thing is like, design my costume, but I don't need a helmet. You know, what is his afro going to stop him from getting a?
Yeah, just shoot him in the head.
Yes, shoot the new Captain America in the head. That's his weakness. He doesn't have superpowers, so I don't get it. I mean, I'm fine with him like getting superpowers, or there's some new serum or some way he's, you know, extra powered, but he can glide and punch.
Glide and punch. And he used to be a nurse. No, a
And
medic.
Right.
Just
And
kidding.
that costume, I'll still say it. I don't get that costume looks dumb.
It's terrible.
In the history of comics, and Gary, I don't know if you opened the little bag I gave you of gifts. Did you see the books of the regrettable superheroes?
I did.
Those you look at them like, I can't. First of all, I love stuff like that. Like in the history of comics, these are the heroes that didn't build a fan base or didn't last more than a year. And they're hilarious how bad they are. Even the color schemes, it's like we've kind of run out of colors to combine. It's really funny.
It is, and this costume will be in the one that's written 20 years from now, because he looks like a downhill skier from like the 80s. that's what that costume looks like.
Goggles and then like the white. It looks like Ice Capades is what it looks like. It always looked. I mean, you know, when this was always a big deal in comics when you're reading comics as a kid and also the present. When they change a costume, you better have a good reason. It's cool. I mean, the Black Spider-Man costume is pretty cool. Like there are variants of heroes' costumes that are good for like, okay, there was a run with Black Spider-Man costume. Love that.
I like the Iron Spider-Man costume. I knew it would be gone, right? For temporary thing. I was fine with it. It's pretty cool. No, I totally agree. But you brought up Ice Capades, and it made me think of Hawkeye, the end of Hawkeye, right? And I'm just like, well, there's no more proof that there's no male energy left in Marvel, because no man would have written a finale on an ice rink.
Right. It's so dumb.
It's so dumb. And villains like running out and slipping and falling, beep, 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 and then Hawkeye getting his ass kicked by 4'8" Florence Pugh, or a woman with one leg who can't hear anything. Deadpool's a different story. Okay, Bill.
Right.
I agree. Deadpool's here's Deadpool. Deadpool is a parody of comics. Deadpool becomes in the comic realm over the last 10, 15, 20 years. Deadpool would cycle through his popularity when comics got a little tired and people started laughing at them, right? I never liked Deadpool very much in the comic. I think it gets really just comic book after comic book, it gets tired, it gets old. In a movie, it's fine because you're getting one every, at this point, 8 years. And this will probably be the last Deadpool one. Do you think? I mean, Ryan Reynolds ain't getting any younger.
I think Ryan Reynolds. I think this is it.
I think this will be it. And Deadpool 2, I liked, wasn't nearly as good as Deadpool 1, which is great. And I like the movies more than I like the comic books. But it cycles through when people cycle through comics. We cycled through readers at the comic store. There's people who just grew out of it, got over it, were tired of it, but it would be generational. Sometimes their kids would get into it, or their brother, or they'd tell a friend, and we just cycle through readers. And there's people who just stuck with it the whole time too. But Deadpool is a sign that the comic book storytelling has gotten tired, so he rises up, and Deadpool's no different than The Boys, Authority, Watchmen, any of this post-Watchmen stuff, right? Which is kind of a nihilistic point of view. Sometimes it could be really good, though. Sometimes it could be funny. Ultimates for Marvel. And they cycle through, and then they ground their stories, and like Hollywood's not going to be able to do this, right? So Deadpool's going to come in. All the Fox X-Men that everybody at the MCU scorned are going to come in and save the MCU, but it's not. It's going to be a one-off. It'll make a lot of money. I mean, it's, for one, you're going to have some time between the Marvels and Deadpool.
Yeah.
Okay. And if Deadpool's allowed to be Deadpool, then it will make fun of the Marvels. It will make fun of everything. It'll
make fun of you, Gary. I think you're going to be in Deadpool 3.
Oh, I don't think so. But I mean, sure. That'd be awesome if they made fun of YouTubers. That'd be great. Like South Park, in a way.
Why not? It's like a commercial. It's like an endorsement.
I'm fine with being made fun of.
They see you. They see you.
I think Deadpool will do great, and then we get Captain America 4. And the Thunderbolts with Ghost and 4'8" Florence Pugh. And then Agatha Harkness, and then Ironheart. The stuff is still coming out. Oh, yeah, we have Echo.
Oh, that's right. Echo in January.
Echo
it drops
in January.
Yeah, Alan and I did not get screeners for it, but a bunch of other people did.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think they're onto us. It's okay. I don't care.
Well, don't you have friends? You have friends who can.
Yeah, but I don't. I'm good. It's Echo. It's not like whatever. Although it's funny. You ready for this? So I didn't get invited to Aquaman 2, the screening, but Alan got invited to the POC special POC screening, and he can't bring a guest, and they're screening it. You ready for this? Aquaman 2, you're going to be able to see it a week from tomorrow, Thursday. Alan will be seeing Aquaman 2 a week from today at 2 p.m. So we're taking our episode of Hollywood on the Rocks next week, and we're just going to do it that evening.
Wait a minute.
Right after Aquaman 2.
You're burying the lead here, Chris.
What?
There's a POC screen. So there's a non-white screening. So there's a screening where white people are not allowed to go.
Okay, all I can say is this.
What's a define a POC screening?
Well, Alan is like the best guy to talk about this stuff because he thinks it's stupid too. And they're like, "Hey, can I bring the guy I work with at Film?"
But no, Chris. What are the rules?
The rules are you can't be white to get into the screening.
What the fuck?
And it's a publicist that specifically is now.
That's discriminatory, though.
It is, but it's safe to discriminate against certain groups. I'll just say that, like, I love it. I like more people at the table. Yeah, let's do that. But like, at the exclusion of others, it's like the meaning is sort of flipped. It's inclusion doesn't mean inclusion. It means exclusion of a specific group. And I'll just say this, that I feel like a lot of my colleagues in the industry have suddenly discovered the Film Threat YouTube channel because of all the stuff
Chris,
that Alan.
Why aren't you writing an article about POC screenings right now?
It is stupid.
It's really stupid. The world needs to know about this.
It's literally a whites not allowed.
Yes,
screening.
No whites allowed. No crackers allowed.
I'm just thinking, why don't
you just Peckerwoods allowed?
Have a screening with everybody.
Yes,
you know, like it's everyone's included. Like all I'll say is this: our panel at LA Comic-Con is more inclusive than the screening. Our panels at LA Comic-Con were more inclusive than the screening of Aquaman 2 taking place Wednesday,
right?
Literally the last possible minute. So, I don't know. I might just show up. So,
I would, dude. I would. I would. Plus,
wait,
you gonna turn you away because you're white? I would be fucking have that camera going. Let's see it.
I'll do it.
Do it.
Yeah, I'll ask them like, why am I not invited to this screening?
Yeah,
I work with Alan. And that I could talk my way in, but
where's the ADL?
Right, but I just hate being that kind of a-hole. It's just like, I'm cool.
You're not being an a-hole when you're exposing any race, by the way, being excluded from a movie screening of a shitty underwater superhero movie that's going to be the end of the DCEU.
Well, here's where things will shift. This is a prediction this is a hopeful, because I'm always an optimist.
Yeah,
hopeful prediction for the future. There are many people who are white who fought for civil rights, who fought for in all positive ways, fought for civil rights. So many, whether it's white politicians, white people who marched a lot. And our so-called POC, whatever you want to say, that now are now that are included, if they don't notice what's going on and they don't point out this BS, I think it's better if someone like Alan points it out than myself.
Then have Alan write the story. Alan should absolutely write the story.
I'm like, people can come at me and whatever. Also, plenty of evidence that I've said stupid things in the past. What can I say? So,
nobody
try to discredit me, but also I don't give a shit.
No, fuck the cancel pigs. Like the cancel pigs, want to a certain level of protection to their very skewed point of view that they can never keep themselves, right?
Well, right, but I'm just saying that perhaps some that may notice this, some other people in the industry that notice this that are non-white may want to say, hey, I think it's kind of fucked up that we're so divided in this way. I look forward to a future where a black person can say the words, I have a white friend. I have a white friend. I'm not racist. I actually have a white friend. You have one white friend. No, I have a white friend.
I'm curious, Chris. Do the regular screenings exclude people of color?
They do not.
They do not. So they can still go to those. Yes.
Well, the thing is, they call those screenings all media, right? I think this is an initiative within Warner Brothers to bring in smaller media outlets.
Well, they call it independent media screenings.
And just have it be people who just don't have, because I know some of the people that are at those screenings, and they all have YouTube channels and things that are like where they get 40 views for a video. Okay, I'm not joking. Okay, which is fine. I am an all ships rise guy. I want everybody in the room.
Yeah, that's cool.
You have to have multiple screening rooms and whatever. Like, there's room for everyone.
I like that they give a chance to up and coming channels. I think that's great. But it's because they have the right politics, right? It's only certain up and coming channels that will be allowed in, and not other ones.
And then
like they're not letting in Culture Casino, right?
No, they're not.
Which they
but
should.
They're letting in my buddy John, who I really like. I have conversations with. I actually don't know what his politics are at all. We don't really talk about stuff like that. But a buddy of mine, John, he has a YouTube channel called Nerd Reactor. And, he loves movies. We get into really good conversations. What I love about him is he generally loves everything. And then you'll see, he'll start talking about it for 5 minutes. And by the end of it, he's like, well, yeah, I think I have more problems with it than I thought. It's like he's going through the thought process. He hasn't thought it through. It's just initial reaction.
That's a normal guy, though. That's fine.
There's nothing wrong.
That's
love
how
John.
most people process movies,
Yes.
They're eating their popcorn and they're just watching a movie. And for one, something like Aquaman, we're not going to think that much about. Okay.
Right. My expectations are so low. And Gary, I'm looking at this is going to do worse than the Marvels. I was hopeful it's over the holidays. AMC Burbank 16, 6 p.m. IMAX screening. I mean, I can show you right now. It is empty. It is like you will be able to hear your voice echo. I'm going to look it up and I'm going to show you. Opening night, which is next Thursday, a week from tomorrow, for Aquaman. And the screenings are empty to almost no one in them. I'm going on the AMC app right now.
It's so empty, you can hear an echo drop on Disney Plus.
Right. Okay, 6 p.m. IMAX screening. I don't know if you want to
myself out.
6 p.m. IMAX. Those are the seats sold, the ones that are highlighted in white. Sold seats for 6 p.m. IMAX.
And again, for context, how the AMC Burbank sells out on stupid shit.
No. Anything can open in the IMAX screening room and it sells out.
Yep.
They are dumping this movie because right before Christmas, Thursday, December 21st. And look, okay, let's do the 3 p.m. screening. This is the first opportunity to see it. Those are the seats sold. And AMC Burbank 16 is technically the most profitable AMC theater in the United States. First screening, 3 p.m. Okay, let's look at other screenings. 7:30, Dolby. Okay, Dolby Cinema, a little bit more full, but plenty of seats still available. This is not
cinema. Dolby Cinema is pretty good.
Dolby Cinema is pretty good. That's the 10:30. I mean, it's just, we're not even talking a quarter full for any of those screenings.
I can check. Let's check the IMAX in my area.
I was making the point that I thought that Aquaman 2 would do well or do better than Marvel's because Jason Momoa, more popular, male-led superhero film, women like Jason Momoa. So I had like all this like, and it's the default movie where no one's going to want to see over the holidays. No one's going to want to see Napoleon, or movies like The Color Purple. I think will do well, but
because it's a musical, so it's not like a remake of the movie. It's a adaptation of the play, right?
Yes,
which I'm still not going to watch.
Yeah. Well, I've seen The Color Purple. I actually really enjoyed it, but I like musicals. Okay, I'll talk about it with Alan. He's a broad.
Well, you're gay adjacent, so it's okay.
Yeah, I'm gay. Well, I live here. Yeah. So what can I say? But no, no. The Color Purple is actually very good if you liked. It's different than the Spielberg movie. Although, well, I have a story I have to tell you offline that I think is very funny. I might.
So when's Aquaman opening?
It's opening December 21st. Technically, you know what it is. It's the Thursday night screen.
Oh my God.
Are you okay? So
I have to
Gary,
watch Aquaman and Rebel Moon in the same day?
Oh, does Rebel Moon come out that day?
Yeah, it does. They came out a day early at 7:00. So I'm gonna see Aquaman.
I'll watch Rebel Moon.
I'm definitely gonna watch. We have to watch Rebel Moon for Friday Night Tights. I made everybody. Well, actually, they all have to watch both. So
right.
You're busy on Thursday. Ryan can only make 4 videos instead of 8. But
Right.
let's see where the tickets. I'm looking at the Palladium IMAX here locally.
Yeah, I'm just curious what it is.
Let's do the 4:00. Oh.
What's it looking like?
You're gonna see me share this, so sorry.
Okay, yeah, share screen.
Is this it? Yeah. Six
seats. So the sold seats are the gray seats.
Yep. 6. All right, now let's look.
That's opening day. That's the 21st.
That's the first show. All right. All right.
Okay.
Oh, that was Atmos. Sorry. Let's go to IMAX. I was thinking that theater looks really tiny.
Oh, by the way, I saw Godzilla.
It's worse. Hang on.
I saw Godzilla -1 again. It's even better.
It's fucking fantastic. Love that movie.
I've been listening to the soundtrack on Spotify, and it's like a wall of sound.
Do they have it in vinyl? I want it in vinyl so bad.
I don't know if they have it in vinyl, but it is on Spotify's my go-to. I gave up.
Oh, this isn't looking much better. So this is the IMAX first showing. By the way, this is an amazing IMAX theater. I saw Flash in it, which sucked, but I did get to see a Dune trailer in this IMAX, which was made it worth going. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10. It's still got time. I'm sure 20 people will go.
This is worse than the Marvels. This is actually worse than the Marvels. This is also bad for things like just you've got to look at the data. You can't ignore the data.
No.
That it's not just Marvel in decline. And I don't know. You know what? James Gunn may make a very good Superman movie and nobody cares. I just think he's trying to throw in everything. It's like, if I only get to make one Superman movie, I'm just putting everything I want in it. If they don't announce that they cast Mr. Mxyzptlk, I'll be very disappointed. Who could play Mr. Mxyzptlk? Hugh Grant. Hugh Grant could play Mr. Mxyzptlk.
Maybe.
They'll just do like a mini, just like an Oompa Loompa. He's the best part of Wonka, which is better than you would think.
You know who would have been a great one? I'm not sure if he's still around. Probably not. And I don't know the actor's name, but Scrooged, the guy who freezes to death. The homeless guy who freezes to death. Looks exactly like Mr. Mxyzptlk.
Oh, wow.
There's a lot of ways to pronounce it, but that's the way I've like with Chris, I've always pronounced it since I was a kid. So
yeah,
that's the way it's like Thanos. I say Thanos because there's one A and one N. Yeah. But anyway, but I can't think of the actor's name. But if anybody's seen Scrooge, you know who I'm talking about. It looks exactly like the Migo that I'm looking at right there on my wall. This is screwed. They are screwed. They are in big trouble for the Aquaman. And I can't even bother. I still think it'll be better than the Marvels. I think there's a very good chance it'll be better than the Marvels. Because I can say that I'd rather watch Flash and Black Adam again 100 times more than I'd watch the Marvels. Right. At least for the horrible CG Michael Keaton fight scenes, which are those are actually pretty cool. But that's it.
I like Michael Keaton.
I do too. Him explaining the multiverse as spaghetti is actually a better explanation than they've ever put in the MCU. So there you go. They got one up on that one. One up on that one. So Chris, you want to see this trailer?
Let's do it.
Let's check out this trailer that's making the rounds. It's an A24 movie, but it just looks like my first look at it, and I could change my mind after watching it again. My first look at it was woke Hollywood's version of a Civil War that's gonna completely miss the point. Are they gonna bring up Antifa? Are they gonna bring up immigration? Are they gonna bring up, or is it just gonna be the 7,000 documented real white supremacists in this country? It might be 20,000, but it's really low. There's more transgender people than there is documented racists in this country.
I just think that, like, here's my, based on seeing the trailer, and I've only seen it once. Here's my thoughts. That the people that we follow in the story are caught up. They're not on any side. They're not. They even show a girl in a bookstore and she's just like, oh, I don't pay attention to the news. So the people that we will follow as our protagonists
are journalists.
I mean, Kirsten Dunst plays a journalist, but what I'm saying is that you're going to see that they're not politically on either side. They're just caught up in a war that's broken out in the US. So they're not forced, but at some point they're kind of forced to pick a side, and the side that will be bad will of course be the side that we always know is always bad as portrayed in movies. But they always hire this one actor. If you want like a white supremacist or racist, they always cast this one guy. What's his name? He was in, I'm going to look at him.
I know. Yeah.
You know the guy I'm talking about?
Yeah.
He's in the movie, has a beard, so you can't.
Jesse Plemons, right?
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
All
I
right.
like him. I think he's a really good actor.
He's a good actor, but he's like plays the same fucking thing.
He's typecast as like, well, if you need a racist white guy, I'm here for hire.
I'm your man.
Oh my God. But it's pretty cliche. I feel like the movie will not have any sort of depth. It's going to be more of an action movie with all this stuff happening as
and
a backdrop.
I will be shocked if the president isn't a Trump stand-in Republican, and it would be interesting if you went off the current regime, which has been far more restrictive on freedoms. Just has. Look at the record. I mean, we're still in the same administration that locked everybody down, forced everybody to wear masks, wouldn't let people travel. You know, that's still this administration.
Well, Nick Offerman plays the president, but it looks like it. So he's in DC as the president. It appears as if he is on the right and kind of took over in a coup Washington, DC. And he seems like a proxy for Trump. This is just based on watch the trailer and you look at like visually what they're trying to show you. And it very much, he looks like a Trump who took over.
Let's find out.
Yeah, let's just watch the trailer.
Let's watch the trailer and find out. I hope I shared the sound.
Oh no, we need X-Ray Girl here.
Well, I'm gonna double check because sometimes my sound comes through anyway. But why not? Let's just double check while we can. All right, we're good. We're good. Let's do this. Don't hit us, A24. All right.
19 states have seceded.
The United States Army ramps up activity.
The White House issued warnings to the Western forces as well as the Florida Alliance.
Western Forces and Florida Alliance. So, I mean, we don't know what states have seceded. We don't know what frame it is, but we can just assume because it's from Hollywood.
It's Florida and allies versus the West. And did you see the three-term president?
Three-term president.
It's already this is already Trump. But look, I had a friend of mine who's in the industry. She's pushed back against a bunch of this stuff. Her name is Sasha Stone. You should give her a follow on Twitter. She is outspoken about this. She and I had many conversations about, I'm tired of the division. I'm tired of people being like vilifying one side. She did this. You should follow Sasha Stone on Twitter. She's just this sober-minded, on a very short list of people in Hollywood, I could probably count on one hand, that are sober-minded, where I can actually have frank conversations with. She drove, her daughter got into college. She drove across the United States and sort of documented her trip. And it was like eye-opening for her. And she suggested a lot of people in Hollywood do the same. Anyways, sorry, I don't mean to derail. But she did a quote tweet about the trailer saying that this is irresponsible. I'm going to find it. Sorry, I'm going to find it.
I'm not going to go that far. I think Hollywood has been overall irresponsible in their divisiveness and stuff. But, you're free to make art. It's about free speech, free expression. And I am free, and so are you, to call this divisive shit out. Right. I think that's how we achieve balance. Of course, I do believe it's if it's framing the way we think it is, horribly divisive, and it's why Hollywood is failing right now. It's exactly right. So let's take a look. Okay, 3-term president. So I remember a president musing about doing more terms. His name was Barack Obama. He was young enough at the time. He was definitely musing it. And I am also of the belief that we're in his 3rd term right now.
As well as the Florida Alliance.
The 3-term president assures the uprising will be dealt with swiftly.
Yeah. Oh, so Sasha says she quote tweets the trailer. She says, "Look at this mess," and she CCs Ben Shapiro, Megyn Kelly, among others, and says how repulsive Hollywood is. They're the side shutting down bridges. About this trailer we're watching.
Well, they are. They are the oppressive side. They are the authoritarians. They are. They back the authoritarians. Gavin Newsom, biggest one in this country, and they love him. They call him Daddy Gavin, Daddy Newsom. They want a daddy. They need a daddy, but they hate daddies. Isn't that weird?
Dealt with swiftly.
Let me know if you want to try anything on.
I guess aware there's like a pretty huge civil war going on all across America.
We just try to stay out. With what we see on the news, seems like it's for the best.
Okay, I can see that when there's a riot in a city, when there's a civil war across. I mean, I guess there might be, like, I don't know. I don't find that realistic.
If you want to try anything on.
I guess aware there's like a pretty huge civil war going on all across America.
We just try to stay out. With what we see on the news, seems like it's for the best.
Yeah, so the protagonists are people who are just caught up. They're caught up in it. They're not on a side.
I think that's a good way to go about it. But still,
right.
Do you trust Hollywood, fellow members of the audience? I don't.
What I'll say just real quick.
What is this?
That's, I guess, the new flag. They'll add stars to it as they add states. Who knows? If anything, they should show the Western Alliance with rainbow flags coming out.
Who's the Western? So the Western Alliance is California, Oregon, and Washington. I can believe that.
Yeah,
I can believe that. You start throwing Arizona, Idaho, and Texas in that. Get the fuck out of here.
Citizens of America. The so-called Western forces of Texas and California.
Okay, what?
Yeah, Texas is not allying with California. I can tell you that right now. It's not happening.
Oh, you're high.
Yeah.
Have suffered a very great defeat at the hands of the United States military.
So it's California. I'm trying to see this reversed image here. Whatever.
California, Texas.
Yeah,
and the thing is this, I like these movies. These are movies that Alex Garland wrote. I like all those movies.
Ex
Machina.
Yeah, I like 2 of the 3.
Mr. President, do you regret the use of airstrikes against American citizens?
We already had a president. Can I put my hand up here? We already had a president who did airstrikes against American citizens. His name was Barack Obama.
To D.C. today.
We need to go down there.
They shoot journalists on sight in the Capitol.
As Disbrew says, okay, maybe that's not all bad. Just kidding. Just kidding. State journalists. So let's go back here. Let's see. Yeah.
I like you have the closed caption on.
Oh, I'm old. I'm an old. I need it on at all times. My kids complain about it. I'm like, shut up. I need it.
For some reason, I can't hear it though, Gary. Is that can the audience hear? Can the viewers hear? Or is it just me?
It might be just you. Let me see.
It might be just me, but that's okay. I've seen the trailer, so it's all
okay.
All good.
I am. Hang on. I've gotta.
I feel like they would let us know.
Well, I gotta look in the chat. I can't look at the chat and look at the screen at the same time.
Right.
Hang on. Let me go to my phone. Eric will tell me.
Eric is Eric watching?
Eric will tell me immediately. Well, yeah. Eric,
that's great.
Eric will tell me immediately. I have gotten a note. Here, I can find out. Sorry, folks. Just a moment. You're good. He says you're good. Thank you, Eric. Appreciate you. Okay, here we go. I don't know why you can't hear it.
Whatever.
Oh, now I can hear myself. Fuck.
Oh, no.
I don't want to hear myself.
Oh, no.
It's bad enough hearing myself all live. All right, here we go.
We're moving to D.C. today.
We need to go down there.
They shoot journalists on sight in the Capitol.
Every instinct in me says this is death.
Bloody.
Every time I survived a war zone, I thought I was sending a warning home. Don't do this. But here we are.
There's some kind of misunderstanding here. What? Well, you're American, okay?
Okay. What kind of American are you? You don't know?
Yeah, I mean, it would be surprising, like, if they made that guy Antifa. I mean, look at his glasses. He kind of looked Antifa. But do you think Antifa will be brought up in this? Or they'll be the good guys? What do you think?
We know who the bad guys are. I mean, like, looking at this, it's clear that this is meant to vilify
a freedom-loving Americans. Who the big cities, the major metropolitan dystopian shitholes never travel to, don't know anything about. They call it the flyover states. And this disconnection from Hollywood, again, you know, this movie can be completely different. And if it is, great. If it shows like a balanced view, great. But you notice Hollywood always makes, without doubt, bad guys are now Christians and Republicans. It's like, you know, you want to subvert some expectations, have the Republican president be the good guy. Call out your own party. Show some actual balls. Because, quite frankly, I mean, the pendulum could swing the other way. And I'm not a part of either party, by the way. But it could definitely swing the other way. But right now, the authoritative assholes are on the left. They just are. And if you want to make a commentary, but, you know, they want to win awards. They want to get funded. So this is a great opportunity. Daily Wire couldn't just throw together a Lady Ballers, but this is a great opportunity for somebody to make a real one. Like outside of the Hollywood system, make a real Civil War video. Go sci-fi. You can have a little fun with it. But if you want to make a real one, we know what the plot would be.
Right.
We do. Maybe Tim can do it.
Yeah.
Maybe Tim can do it. All right, let's go.
The Western forces will reach the White House on July 4th.
Oh my God.
Get in the car! Get in the car!
That guy's in Dune, by the way.
Yeah.
You're gonna hang back.
I'm not hanging back.
One nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So you don't think this movie was born out of January 6th?
Yeah, well, 100%.
Absolutely, born out of January 6th.
Yeah, so it's
January
basically
6th. Oh,
this is an I'm just reading into it. It looks like there's a takeover that the president is now saying, I'm not leaving office. It's locked down. States are separating, and there's the Western Alliance. I just don't know why they don't have the rainbow flag as the new flag.
It will be. Well, I mean that.
If they were honest, they would just show that.
If they were, yeah.
Yeah.
January 6th was the 9/11 of Gamergates, okay, folks, to Hollywood. Let's just say that.
Yeah, let's see.
God bless America.
Produced by Tim Pool. I saw this. I'm like, oh my God.
I'm just so, I think it's socially irresponsible because we know this is going to go one direction, right? One direction, one side will be vilified and the other side. What was that other movie came out like right before everything shut down where it was liberals hunting conservatives?
I heard that was kind of, I didn't see it, but I heard it was kind of, was it misinterpreted or was it?
They purposely misled you with the trailer. And then the liberals are really the bad guys in it. They're really, because they capture these innocent, like people who happen to be conservative based on social media posts that they collected. And then they get these liberals to like basically hunt them for fun. So they learn with, they got to get guns and whatever. And they're just sort of thrown out and they're just hunting them for fun. So the main protagonist is a conservative who is the good guy. What is the name of that film? I think I ended up buying it.
Was it Damon Lindelof?
Damon Lindelof
wrote it. Damon.
They delayed that movie because the first trailer came out. They got ripped for it.
I remember, this is a Hollywood that will delay movies for a shooting.
Right.
Certain things, but they'll release this in an election year, in a very contentious well, I don't think it's going to be that contentious, to be honest with you, but an election year. But they're free to do that. See, I wouldn't want the government dictating what can come out ever. Yes. That is the worst fucking case scenario. I think we, the audience, keep people in check by not giving them money, calling it out, doing whatever, having an informed opinion on it. I think that's how we shame, you mock, you keep people in check, and it keeps people in balance. So they're free to make it like all day long, whatever. And I'm free to rip the shit out of it if I see it. Or it tells us a good commentary. We haven't seen the movie yet. So I'm just thinking it's probably going to be woke Hollywood shit. Could be wrong. But this is they were already this divisive during the coup. All right. They just were. We had a bunch of actors out there rooting on the burning of our cities when we were locked down, telling us we could just go eat Uber Eats, right? Patton Oswalt. Remember that?
By the way, I've used those services, DoorDash, Uber Eats, all that. They're effing expensive. I would rather just go. Also, I don't want anyone else touching my food. You know,
aside from the fact though, but the elitist comment of, well, can't you just afford Uber Eats is the point of it. Fuck you. While they were rooting on the burning of our cities and saying things like no more white comfort from the comfort of their $1 million mansions. Isn't that right? Jar Jar Abrams. We're not going to forget this shit. And we won't forget this shit. You played in the divisiveness. You know what came up in the news, Chris? Watchmen removed from Max. That was the most divisive race baiting shit I have ever fucking seen.
Wait, you're talking about the
show,
series, not
the series,
movie.
the
Okay,
series. The Watchmen series, which was a sequel to the comic book, not the movie.
Right.
By the way, that nobody.
I just think it's irresponsible to push division, and I see it. You see, and it's really elites seem to have an almost disdain for blue collar and working class. In a and this is the big change in Hollywood. I've had discussions with people. This is a good entryway to have a thoughtful conversation rather than a Twitter exchange, which I hope for thoughtful on Twitter. Doesn't happen as often as I would like, which is why I post and ghost. But the people not calling out divisive language, I don't care where it comes from, but it's sickening. And I feel like it kind of started with Hillary Clinton's comment, deplorables. These are working people that just want to make a living wage. And Hollywood.
I can't recall a politician going that far, calling the opponents voters, which could be your potential voters. They're the ones you're trying to win over. And you just said a big portion of the country was deplorable. And you know what they did? They embraced it. Absolutely.
And what's odd is her husband. I also don't know why. This sounds obvious. We don't live in a monarchy. I don't want a family to dominate the center seat of power in the United States.
Nope.
I don't want a Bush. I don't want the Clinton, and I don't want the wife of a sitting whatever to suddenly. How did that become normalized? Where it's just like, well, it's the senator's wife, so she'll just be filling in the seat. What are her effing qualifications? All this talk about Michelle Obama running is ridiculous.
She's utterly ridiculous. Does any of my wife's clients want me coloring their hair because I was married to her? No.
Right.
Fuck
that
no.
talent doesn't rub off unless it
doesn't.
Unless maybe she was wearing the pants in the family and we just never knew. I don't know. I'm saying that those things politically have always bugged me. We're not a monarchy.
We're not.
We fought that war hundreds of years ago. We fought a war to get away from monarchies. I don't want a monarchy or family. I don't want and then it's the sons and the daughters. No. You got to prove yourself. You got to work. You got to build yourself up before you're suddenly an opportunity just drops in your lap. That's so annoying.
And the other annoying part is, Hollywood's always been left. We understand that. We do. Yeah. But there would be other points of view in the past.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And blue collar people were celebrated. Movies like, and you will remember these movies, and for the audience, thank you for your patience. And we're going to talk about movies pretty soon. I think that's what we might talk about Marvel. This movie or this trailer, Civil War, that's a gateway for a conversation about what's happening politically in the United States. And it's look, do I love talking about politics? No, I have my opinions, whatever. I want to be entertained, but movies like Norma Ray, starring Sally Field, for which she won an Oscar, is about starting a union, right? At a factory. Whatever you think of unions, it's about blue collar working class. The movies that Clint Eastwood used to do, Any Which Way You Can, Every Which Way But Loose, and countless other movies in the 70s and 80s where working class blue collar people were the heroes.
Star Wars.
Yeah, you pointed that out. You're the one that said a farm boy, a war veteran, and a space trucker, effectively.
It's
weird. So the fact that there's a disconnect and now I don't even know, there is a blurred line about what even makes a hero. This whole thing.
Well, they don't know.
Well, the Marvels, what defines what heroism really is and what bravery really is. And you look at the character of Captain Marvel, there's nothing about her that's admirable, as portrayed by Brie Larson. And even with her whole thing, I got to F off and just go and do something else. See you guys later. Peace out. Wait, what? I don't know what made her. She's just, first of all, Brie Larson as an actress, I think is very unlikable. I think the best thing she ever did was that Kong movie. She's actually pretty good in that with Tom Hiddleston. So
she's
they
fine.
even
Yeah,
made her
she's
trans
fine.
sexy.
She's just a horrible Captain Marvel, but the MCU has set women in Hollywood back fucking 2 decades. It's really hurt the movement.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, another
horribly.
thing. Well, two other things. I don't know if we'll get to it today because it's, that I'm Captain Derailment with stuff. But toy sales are.
Oh no, we're gonna get to that.
Toy sales.
That's
plummeting.
absolutely in the title, so we're gonna get to it.
And then the other thing is, this is probably maybe for FNT because I haven't had a chance to watch it yet. Did you see the interview with the 3 comic book owners? They collectively. Okay, I haven't watched it yet. I just put it in my history because that's how I watch things. Did you see it? Yeah,
it's
the whole thing?
interesting. Yes. We're gonna cover it on FNT. I was gonna because we did comic book heavy yesterday, so we're gonna.
Okay, gotcha. Okay,
we're gonna
yeah.
go Hollywood today.
I'll
Save
be
it for
watching
FNT. And I'll go over some of the highlights of it. It's very nuts and bolts, man. It was very good. And these conversations should have been. I mean, I'm glad they're happening now, and I'm glad somebody like Mark Millar is out there making them happen.
Mm-hmm.
And Mark Millar just wants to write comic books. I just wanted to review television. You just wanted to review independent films. None of us wanted to get into this shit, but it's part of this keyword that was accidentally on purpose let out a few short years ago. Fortification. And it was considered, even when they admitted it, it was considered a conspiracy theory until Elon took over Twitter and exposed everything. And whatever's going on inside of Twitter is going on inside of Google, inside of Facebook, inside of Apple, inside of Amazon, inside of Disney, inside of Warner Brothers. It's all fucking going on there. So it has been exposed, and Hollywood has been part of the great fortification. Now it's up to the people who work there to stop it. We the audience can do our share and stop buying the stuff, and we have in droves. Hollywood's entire box office is down 25, 30, 40% in ticket sales. Because people are just it's a damaged brand that will continue to damage itself if this Civil War movie turns out the way we think it's going to turn out.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, if it doesn't, great. That show something, do a little sci-fi epic that shows, but that's obviously another Trump stand-in, which is just it's so fucking tired. It's like their obsession over Nixon. If you go back in time now and look at what Nixon did, it's fucking nothing compared to what a scandal we're watching right now.
Yeah.
And it's there were so many baby boomers, and they lived all long, and not all of you are dicks, by the way. We love some baby boomers. But some of them just need to retire to Palm Springs and jerk off to Watergate documentaries or Woodstock documentaries. Just go, take a blue pill and whack it to those documentaries that you love so much, and let the world move on, please. But not all baby boomers are bad. Not all Gen X are good, and you know how it goes.
But Gen X is pretty effing awesome. I'm just gonna say. I love that video.
Some of us are big disappointments.
You've seen that video where the guy bumps his into the wall, and it shows each generation. That is probably one of the greatest meme video viral
of all time. Yes, it's been around a while.
I love it. It's so accurate. I love
it has been around a while. Let's see if Lady Greymaster put up an article on. So Hasbro just fired 1,000 workers.
Or I think it was it like 20%?
20%, and that's after Ryan pointed out. By the way, I'm going to be on Geeks and Gamers Daily tomorrow morning at 10.
I'm going to be on Friday.
You're going to be on Friday? I'm going to be on Thursday. Cool. I'm going to be on Thursday. There it is. There it is. Okay. Give me just a moment, folks. Sorry.
Sure.
Self-produced.
Sure.
So another sign that Disney, Star Wars, and Disney Marvel have been, I mean, not that you need one, But apparently the investors do, and the bankers do, and the people running this ship, because they are, ladies and gentlemen of both genders, still perplexed on why their woke shit isn't working. They're just like, how could this not work? We were told this was going to work. We've been trying for 6 years and it hasn't worked. Well, now it's, Disney Star Wars arguably destroyed Toys R Us. And now it's destroying Hasbro because their figures aren't selling because, oh, wow, Ike Perlmutter was right. You know what? Ollies are filled with Ahsoka action figures. They're filled with Disney Star Wars garbage. Reva couldn't even sell. HasLabs did a. This is famous. We covered it on Friday Night Tights. Jeremy brought it up. There was a Reva lightsaber out there that couldn't get funded on HasLabs, but G.I. Joe, which doesn't have anything out, funds their shit all the time. Since my open letter to Hasbro, things have gotten worse for the once prominent company, as reported by Clownfish TV. Hail Clownfish. Hasbro is primed to cut 1,100 jobs, which is 20% of their workforce, as Neon points out. This is on top of Hasbro laying off 800 employees earlier this year. Neon gives several possibilities, reasons why this is occurring to Hasbro that mimic my own complaints. And essentially, it's shitty Star Wars. It's shitty Star Wars, but this is indeed happening. Hang on, let me verify this. I forgot. Hang on. As much as I like.
By the way, I know we probably should just, the chat is always right. The chat is always right. The movie we were talking about earlier, that I recommend it. Gary, you would like this film. It's called The Hunt.
Yeah, The Hunt. That's it.
The Hunt. That's it. It's The Hunt. Carolyn just texted me and told me, so she gets credit for that one. But yeah, no, it's The Hunt. I bought it. But it was completely, the trailer misleads you that like, well, these are the bad people, but actually they're the ones you're rooting for in the movie, because they're put in this position by these crazy liberals that like targeted these people based on their social media posts. And it's also partially a comedy because it's it's a social satire. So there you go.
It's I don't know if I'll eventually see it. I'm not a big fan of Damon Lindelof. Because he is a big Jar Jar protege. So here again, this isn't, just conjecture. Hasbro has cut 1,100 jobs, or 20% of its workforce, prompted by the ongoing malaise in the toy business. And that has a lot to do with these companies losing Gen Z that they thought was just so incredibly woke, which I think that's arguable right now. The entirety of Gen Z is not on TikTok. A certain amount. You know what? The entirety of the world doesn't love Taylor Swift music. She's just really popular. But the entirety of the world, most people don't. Most people don't.
Well,
that's the way these things work. But hang on, Chris. They lost they're losing multiple generations to something else. My kid, I got a Gen Z kid. Doesn't go on TikTok. Doesn't give a shit about any of this stuff because the stories were bad. He used to love them. He used to love all this shit and doesn't anymore because the stories were bad. Sorry, Chris, go on.
No, but I was going to say sales of certain types of toys have declined because of video games. But Toys R Us, look, Toys R Us, I shopped Toys R Us for years. When my kids were young and in diapers, the cheapest place, this is true, Toys R Us was the cheapest place to get diapers or for all that stuff. They sold it at a loss because that would get you in the store. Right. So it's like, I mean, they were so much cheaper at Toys R Us. So you go in, it's like, here's diapers and baby supplies, whatnot, or stuff for your toddler. And then, of course, you're with your kids and the toys are there. And I want, kid, we can look around. I mean, Toys R Us was a weekly trip for me. I'd buy video games there.
Yeah.
They had really good return policy. But the but shifting the things that kids spend their time with more are screens. I'm not judging, saying it's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm going to judge. I'm going to say I think it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
I think more
Judge
physical
away.
things judge away. But also, like, it was adult collectors would go to Toys R Us, and really, like, their prices were competitive on everything. They always had incentives. It was a whole. Someone should do a documentary about Toys R Us as an institution and a brand. But I remember when Force Friday happened. I don't know. You probably don't remember this, Gary, or maybe you didn't care. But Force Friday was a big deal.
I remember it.
It was in September, and they did this for all the Star Wars movies, except I think so. They did like a day where we're debuting all the.
They
new
didn't do
Star-
one for Rise of Skywalker.
right?
Yeah.
But I went, and I didn't buy one thing. I just looked at it and said, "This stuff doesn't even look very good. It looks cheap." I remember seeing the 12-inch figures. They had like 12-inch Finn and all that, and they were in a box where their arms were like this. It looked like they were in a coffin. They look, and those are all, and that was the first sign that I thought, because all of us, you remember, pre The Force Awakens coming out, everyone was pumped. The trailers looked good. The little snippets, the mystery box behind it. How does Luke play into this? Well, he's not even freaking in it. Which people try to defend as like, that's a good thing. Like, no, there was a moment that was perfect for Luke to show up and save the day, and they didn't do it. There was a perfect moment for him to enter the story, and they didn't do it, which was stupid. It's there's so much, but everyone wants to blame The Last Jedi. I blame the first movie.
Yeah.
And there's no redemption from killing your dad. I'm sorry. There's no like, I forgive you, son, for murdering me.
Yeah.
It's a terrible storyline. It should have been dismissed in the room.
And with one of the most popular characters in the history of pop culture.
The most. When they do polls, they would do polls. Luke was in the top 10, but he wasn't in the top 3. It was like Han Solo. But Han Solo was number 1 most popular Star Wars character. Period. When they would collect data from fans. And also you can look at like what sells, right? Han Solo, which is why they did the shitty Solo movie. God, I freaking hated that movie.
I did too.
But I had a theory that like they needed to put out that movie to kind of deal with a story point that might have tied into the sequel trilogy if they had thought. I feel like I thought more about the story of what they could have done with the sequels than the people who effing made the movie. And I think that that comes from being a Star Wars fan when it originally came out and making up stories in your head about where the adventure could go after Return of the Jedi. Where could things lead after that? Or the continuing adventures, or between Star Wars and Empire when there were very few toys. And you got to see that documentary, Gary, A Disturbance in the Force.
Oh, I will. So
It's
the
really
Toys That Made Us should really do, I think that's the name of it, the Netflix doc. They should do a more modern one from the 90s collecting when Toy Biz was around, and this was Hot Wheels too. But dudes were lining up on Tuesday morning when Toys R Us would get shipments, and that's when McFarlane Toys was starting out. It was started out as Todd Toys, and that's I was collecting like crazy back then. Obviously. That was a great era, but it's gone. The quality of action figures, for one, is just shit. It has been for a few years now.
Okay, I've noticed that too.
Other than Todd McFarlane.
Quality. Yeah, the Todd McFarlane. I bought the Todd McFarlane Dune figures because
they're still really good. And I guess Todd McFarlane is partnering with Hasbro. I would tell Todd to be wary of that. But DC Direct is now gone pretty much, and they made like a lot of really good action figures. But the big 12-inch ones you're talking about, I forgot there's a term for it, chat, and I forgot it now, but they're hollow. They're not solid plastic. They're hollow, so they're molded. Basically, they're shit, and the articulation is bad, and it looks. They've cut tons of money in production, so this hasn't been going. Plus, they're plastics petroleum based. That creates that. Remember, the oil shortage of the 70s killed Mego.
Yes,
and created Kenner and its little Star Wars action figures. That's when things started getting smaller. Yeah, it just comes and goes. We're starting to see 1/6 scale manufacturers go, of course, famously Big Chief Studios, which makes the 1/6 scale Doctor Who. And again, no word from BBC or Russell T Davies or even Disney now. They just closed up shop with hundreds of thousands, maybe millions, but probably hundreds of thousands of dollars in pre-orders being completely kept, including some of my money, some of Az's money, and
Really?
a lot. Yes, a lot. Like an extraordinary, like it's a pisser. So I'm never pre-ordering anything from anywhere ever again. Not a
Same.
game,
Okay.
not a fucking action figure. Never doing it again.
I have lost thousands of dollars pre-ordering things I didn't get. I will not use, if you have a campaign on Indiegogo, good on you. I won't buy your thing. I'm sorry. Indiegogo has ripped me off so much. And also, I've used them before. They're terrible. Their back end is bad. Kickstarter, whatever you think about them, they're just, they work. I think Patreon works. They have better back end tools for delivering your rewards. But Indiegogo, I spent, do you remember Masters replicas?
Yeah.
I got a Luke lightsaber from them, but I paid $2,000 to get a working HAL 9000 from 2001.
Yep.
And I got were different versions of it, and I bought all the versions, including the one that was like $1,000. I never got it, and they went out of business. And I gave them $2,000. I'll never do a pre-order again. Actually, that's not true. I actually did a pre-order on some Fantastic Four action figures. Damn it. I got sucked in, but it's from a different company.
What company is that?
It's I'm gonna look it up.
I just wait till the shit's out and I pay $50 more and get it on eBay. That's where I'm at. If I need it at all, which I mostly don't. So I'm not pre-ordering shit ever again. I don't care how reputable or anything. I canceled all my pre-orders at all other companies that I could, and I was done after that. So, and that's the sign that the market's fading, right? And I think Hot Toys will eventually be affected. I saw some really cool stuff at LA Comic-Con. Not pre-ordering it, not touching it, not till it's out, or and the fact that there are laws on the books that you can't. But that's why a lot of these companies are, overseas. Don't pre-order from an overseas company. They're going to steal your money. Yeah. Indiegogo put a lot of money into that. Haven't seen shit from a lot of things.
Yeah, Indiegogo.
I've also moved twice since I've ordered that stuff 3, 4, 5 years ago. So I don't care.
Indigo. I even ordered a bunch of things like this tech company. It was like an interesting hard drive where you could transfer files. I'll spend $500 on that. That's a useful work related thing. Never got it. The company went out of biz. The company just never delivered. They collected a couple $100,000. There's got to be some recourse for that. I should get some sort of refund. The company that I pre-order from, and they don't charge you until they ship it, is Monsters in Motion. I'll put the link to their website. And what they do is they get a lot of things that are closeout. You should check out their website, Gary. They get a lot of things that are closeout. So like we found a warehouse. We've got a bunch of Corgi 66 Adam West Batmobiles, like mint in box, like from some warehouse find. And there's like 5 of them, but check out. Yeah. I ordered some stuff from them, and I regularly order, and they do conventions too. So actually know the people physically, like they do Monsterpalooza, Son of Monsterpalooza. I always go to their booth. They have rare books. So what they'll do is they'll find warehouse finds and say, hey, we have 5 of these, or we have 1 of these. And their prices are not crazy.
Hey, creators of the MCU and the Force is Female, Disney. By the way, Disney's not done ruining shit. It's ruining Hollywood. It's ruining toys. It's ruining our culture. And as we've pointed out many times before, they're full of shit. They thanked a concentration camp in China. They shrunk Finn on the poster for The Force Awakens. They covered up Chadwick Boseman's face on the Black Panther, all for China. And apparently, they don't really like women that much. They're facing a class action lawsuit. Many have pointed out for not paying. Now, whatever on this, but I think it's just funny. Disney faces pay equity. They didn't say equality. Equity claims from thousands of female employees after losing bid to halt class action certification. Time to grow up, plaintiffs' lawyer says of Mouse House. It's all about female empowerment, except if you're Gina Carano or anybody else.
Yeah.
Which I'm not going to read this whole article. I just think it's funny. It's more woke on woke crime. We're not getting equal pay in the pretend. And the equal pay issue has been broken down by much better people than me. But you look at if we're talking about equal pay across the entire country, we're looking at publishing jobs as opposed to underwater welder, who should make a lot of fucking money.
That's what I love about the South Park Pandaverse thing. Like you've got these guys that like know how to like put on an oven door. It's useful skills to have, like wood shop and metal shop. And just, that's how this is how old I am, Gary. Like, we're like, okay, here's how you establish credit. You go to Sears and you buy on credit a box of tools. Okay. And you're paying like $20 a month to pay off this $200 box of tools. Then you get the Sears credit card. And that's how I was told you establish credit. I still have that box of tools. I have so many tools because I want to, Gary, from owning a home, it's like $600 just for anyone to come out to fix anything.
Yep.
So you learn to fix things yourselves. You learn how to put on a screen door, or you know what I mean? Like useful things, or to change a tire. I think these actual skills are being forgotten to be passed along. Right.
Yeah, I miss being able to use my own rack. There's places I'm not sure if they're in Texas anymore, but there are places where you can rent a car rack and do your own work. I miss that because that was the one cool thing working at the shop is I could just go put my car in a rack and do all my own shit, which is like tune-ups and stuff, which are insanely expensive, which is just mostly changing fluids. It's really fucking simple stuff, or bleeding some brakes. It's simple stuff that you can learn going on YouTube. But this is funny. This is fucking hilarious. And I would love to see if they have to pay billions. I will laugh my ass off if the women win. Women, I'm rooting for you. I am rooting for you like hell. Go get them, girls.
But like this shows how hypocritical Disney is, that they overcorrect for everything. They're overcorrecting and this also, you notice this in certain people too. I don't want to mention, I'm not going to, but I just know certain people like that are so like, it's like that shot of Tom Cruise and Jerry Maguire where he screams into the phone, "I love black people." It's like over the top and ridiculous. Like I know people like that and they're effing annoying. You've got to see that movie American Fiction. Very good.
I mean, that like if it's good and if it's calling out like I think for lack of a better term, the type of wokeness in Hollywood that's keeping people on the plantation, which is the way I see it, and many others, then that would be good. And that's part of the pushback where it's getting so bad. Remember, Timothy Robbins, member of the Film Actors Guild and Team America, uber fucking liberal, called out COVID restrictions.
Yeah.
Like called them out openly. And that's what a classic liberal would do. But,
because a lot of those things that were done are technically illiberal. They're just not. They're illiberal things to do. And it's the way I see all this stuff playing out is, look, I've been covering independent film since the 80s. I became an indie film fan, been covering it, seen it rise in the 90s with people like Quentin Tarantino and Spike Lee and, young, actually in the late 90s, Christopher Nolan, all started in indie film. Some of the best filmmakers started in indie film because there are no rules and you make it up as you go, and you learn on the job. Anyways, I love indie film, but most of the messaging in indie film is stuff that's like, those are movies that play at Sundance, because the message that you're seeing in mainstream entertainment, that's been around for a long time, but it's been a limited market, right? It's been a market of movies that open in New York and LA, made by rich elites or the sons and daughters of the rich. And they are movies that don't need to make money. They're literally buying their way into the industry. I've seen it at Sundance. What's different is now those types of filmmakers and those ideas have infiltrated mainstream entertainment. And they're not mainstream ideas. I'm sorry, they're not. The Sundance movies, I love a good Sundance movie, but the market is small for that, and it will always be small. And to try to think that you can mainstream a lot of this stuff is ridiculous. And now people are just turned off, and Disney has destroyed. It's going to take decades. I was just talking to a friend yesterday who was like, hey, you did this video that really is causing some waves with the animation community. So he called me out of the blue. This guy knows all the executives. I'm not going to say who it is. Someone's been around for a long time. He says, you've really caused waves. And he said, I've been complaining to them for a long time about how bad things have gotten. And we both had a whole conversation about how Wish is terrible. I'm not going to say Wish. I wish Gary would do a Wish video, because if you see this movie, Gary, it's all that activist stuff played out in a story where they overthrow the person in charge who's saying, I'm not going to grant every wish. If you grant every wish, then they're worthless. And it's just so, there's so much bad about that film. It's shocking. Anyways,
I think other people are better suited, just because there's certain things I don't hit everything. Obviously,
right.
I don't hit everything because I don't have time for it, and I just don't think it's relevant for this channel. I could be wrong. I'm sure there might be people who want to hear about it, but like, I am not a fan of Disney animation. Old stuff, sure, but I never loved it. It was never my thing. All right, like Disney, I watched Snow White. I haven't even watched all the classics because I just,
You missed a few, probably.
Well, and I've always I'm a dude, so I'm not gonna Snow White is that's kind of a girly movie, but I understand. I appreciate the animation and what it did, and if you like it, that's great. But that's just how I was a Looney Tunes kid.
Oh,
Fucking
same.
Bugs Bunny, Chuck Jones, Mel Blanc. That was my jam when I was a kid.
Looney Tunes when it was violent with guns and dynamite.
Yes.
Yeah, I want guns and dynamite in my cartoons. And I always, even as a kid, I would watch, what was that Saturday morning show where they'd come out? They basically show the older classics.
Well, there was the Roadrunner, Wile the Coyote and Roadrunner show.
That one. But they would do it was the Bugs Bunny, whatever hour, and they would just, oh my God.
But I mean, they were also always on after school and before school, and just, it was great.
But I never liked Mickey Mouse because I thought Mickey Mouse was so milquetoast to me. It was it just wasn't, Mickey Mouse was just not cool. I loved the Bugs Bunny stuff. And also some of those stories, do you remember the Michigan J Frog one? Then it gets into a little science fiction at the end. That one is great. And then, I think I've talked about this, the one banned Looney Tunes cartoon. God, what is the name of that one that's banned? And they never show it. I don't even know if you can find it on the internet, but it's a banned cartoon about Daffy Duck is this salesman, and Foghorn Leghorn is in a fight with the dog.
I say, boy.
I say, boy.
I
love Foghorn Leghorn.
Yeah.
So he's in a fight with the dog. They're fighting, and Daffy Duck comes in as a salesman from Acme, and he's selling Foghorn Leghorn these little traps and weapons and stuff. But he's also selling them to the dog. It's making a political point in a really interesting way.
Yeah.
And that cartoon has been banned. Because it's just hey, and then at the end,
because it's weapon manufacturers.
Right. It's we'll just sell to both sides and they can just fight it out.
It's Lockheed Martin or whoever. I don't know
Right.
if
I mean, at the end, the dog and Foghorn Leghorn team up to get Daffy Duck using one of his own traps. But it is such a, I mean, it's, look, first of all, it's funny and it's dumb, whatever. But why is that cartoon banned?
There's the World War II ones.
Yeah, the World War II
Yeah.
ones. Oh, I saw
I don't
one
think
of
those should be banned either.
I don't think they should be banned. They should be put in like, like here, the World War II, this was propaganda. But,
yeah.
We act like this propaganda like went away. Like, oh, that was stuff that they did back then. Dude, one of my favorite panels at San Diego Comic-Con and at other conventions, this guy does in the last couple of years at San Diego Comic-Con when they were not doing it, they put them on YouTube, is this guy that goes through like it's like the worst comic books. And a lot of the comic books are comic books that are like the US government will hire like DC Comics to have Wonder Woman do a comic book that's just propaganda about something like vaccinations. Okay. We've seen it. It's BS, but he'll go through and like, he'll just show these are like,
there was an Avengers pharma comic that came out that told you to get your vaccination. That just came out like a couple years ago.
Yeah.
By the way, Captain America was Steve Rogers. That comic. I just wanted to point out. No, it's nothing new, but like that's the kind of stuff I collect now. I collect politically incorrect World War II covers for comics that are horrific, but they're not expensive. It's a fun, weird thing to collect. Some I can't even show on this show. Real quick before we get into soups, we got somebody asked. Okay, we covered it yesterday on the Real BBC, so I'll refer to yesterday's show. Please cover Christopher Eccleston's story attacking Russell T. Davies. Thank you, Jockney, for the $3. Yeah, we talked about it yesterday. And I'll just briefly say that I like Eccleston as an actor. I think he's a great Ninth Doctor. His story has changed why he left Doctor Who 5 times. I've lost count. But I think we did get to see some truth. And what he basically said is he came out and said, he'll come back if you fire Russell T. Davies, Jane Tranter, Phil Collins, and basically everybody's working on it now. But he was offered the gig for the 50th when none of those people were working. And he politely turned it down to Stephen Moffat. And that's why we got the War Doctor. But obviously there's something in between that happened. And I think it was so funny because Billie Piper Rose is sitting right next to him. She's like, it's a great video. I have it on my Twitter, and we did talk about it yesterday. But just in when it comes to Doctor Who, I kind of said my piece in my last video.
Dude, these images of the new Doctor being bi-generated, it is the dumbest. I mean, look, I checked out of Doctor Who a while ago. I mean, I liked the Eccleston era, which was short-lived, 1 season. And David Tennant, I like David Tennant, like, and it was this fun show that like, there was just something about it that I really liked. And I watched Doctor Who when it was on PBS, the old Tom Baker stuff. And oh my God, okay, here we go.
So, yeah, the Doctor Who lead, Ncuti Gatwa, says series will definitely address protagonist's new race. Feature episodes inspired by actors' very left liberal bubble. So this, I mean, just that statement alone is so 2016 to 2018. And it's just more disconnected people trying to make stuff for young people. It's like late 60s people trying to figure out what the hip kids like at this point. And they just, well, they must like all the woke stuff I like. This is actually doubling, tripling down on the Jodie era, and it will end the same way. It just will. I don't care who's pushing it. I don't care how much money is into it, but they've already had their Disparu exposed it yesterday. The ratings, this is David Tennant and Catherine Tate and Russell T. Davies coming back. This is like almost like George Lucas coming back to Star Wars.
Right.
For Doctor Who fans, right? And I'm a Celebrity and Get Me Out of Here, whatever the hell it's called, a 22-year-old show, kicked its ass in the ratings. It had 11.88 million people watching in the UK. That's what they were expecting. What they got was 4.5 million, just over 4.5 million people watching, which is just a sea hair above what Jodie was getting. Here we go. And further torpedoing the hopes of many series fans who thought Russell T Davies' return would herald a return to form, the alien hero, the newest actor to portray the Doctor, Ncuti Gatwa, has teased that not only will his upcoming Doctor Who run address the character's regeneration into a new race, but it will also feature an episode whose messaging explicitly leans into the actor's very leftist liberal bubble. At least the actor admits they're in a bubble. I'll give you that. Gatwa, who made his debut, we already know that, speaking to his existence as the first black incarnation of the titular Time Lord. He's not. Dr. Ruth was the first black incarnation. Apparently bi-generation happened to all the Doctor. Now, bi-generation, if you don't understand, the Doctor regenerates. Apparently, now the Doctor split into two. The minute this bi-generation happened, it kind of reverberated back through time and bi-generated all the other Doctors, which probably explains Dr. Ruth, which makes nothing matter, which completely rewrites the history of Doctor Who again. Again.
Oh my God.
I'm going off of Russell T Davies' own words from the commentary. To expand on this, there's a show called Tales of the TARDIS coming out, and that's supposed to be how that show works. So for those of you who think he was just joking in that, he wasn't. So yeah, you're just killing it again. It's kind of like Obi-Wan, right? So these three specials served the same purpose as Obi-Wan did, the unintentional purpose of killing your franchise again. Of you got the defibrillator out, you popped it, there was maybe a heartbeat, and then you shot it in the head. That's it. That's all. R.I.P. Doctor Who. So I just don't care. There's a point where it's all right, there's not even anything to learn from this failure. You failed twice now. It's kind of like where Kurtzman Trek is. I couldn't be bothered with Star Trek Discovery Season 4 because nobody watches it. Nobody cares. People have said their piece, and then what follows that is apathy, Chris. Apathy. Yep. And we are in apathy with Disney Star Wars. We're in apathy with Marvel now. It might get a respite with Deadpool, but Deadpool can make $2.5 million just like Spider-Man No Way Home did. But the overall MCU is still shit. Jonathan Majors probably not going to be Kang at this point. It's not looking good for him.
I don't see any way, because the stories that are coming out, and I spoke to a friend of ours that knows something, someone that you know.
I know that. I know who you're talking about.
Chat. Yeah. So he was telling me stuff on the inside, and it's now this is their fault. Did they not vet him well enough to realize this guy has problems? He's got problems. And by the way, we were talking earlier about the Looney Tunes cartoon that was banned. I found it on Daily Motion. I put the link.
Oh, you did?
Private. Yeah, it's called The High and the Flighty. That cartoon kind of traumatized me as a kid. There's this moment where Daffy Duck his whole body is shoved in a bottle, and it's kind of creepy. I don't know. I was a kid. Weird things stand out. I mean, a little kid. But you can look up on Wikipedia, which is to me not a trusted source.
No.
I'm on Wikipedia, and it's basically people changing my entry on Wikipedia to make me look like more of an asshole than I am in real life. I'm saying I'm trying to be an asshole for good, not
You are an asshole for good, Chris. That's why we love you.
For good. I try to.
You're an asshole for good. Hey, at least you have Wikipedia. I don't, so they can't be. They can't fuck with me.
How do you wait a sec? How do you know you don't have a Wikipedia?
I don't.
Did you look?
Like 2 years ago.
You might have one that
I don't have.
It's not being managed. But I looked at it, it's there's so many facts wrong in mine. It's clearly people, and you'll see the way they descripted the defunct Film Threat magazine from the 90s. It's like Film Threat was around for like 13, 14 years as a print magazine, became a website. It's like it's all framed in like failure. And it's like clearly written by people who hate my guts.
And they're always begging for money.
Yeah, Wikipedia, I just went there and I went somewhere else. And they're always like, like the thing where like you can't get to what you want to get to because they want money. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't even go there anymore. Like it's not even like if it pops up, get out of here. You know, there are other places to go. You just got to look. But Google really pushes them because they are good for keeping the current narrative of the system going.
Yeah.
So. Monster Mangler for $5 on the Streamlabs side said, you know how you know it's propaganda? They made the journos the good guys. LOL. Tim Pool should sue them for stealing his ideas. Thought, though, he has enough sense to know Texas would never ally with Cali. No, as a matter of fact, we here in Texas, correct me if I'm wrong, fellow Texans, we've moved closer to being able to secede. I don't know if I'm personally for that or not, but we'll see what happens. I'm personally for America sticking together. That's me.
Same, but the only way to do that is to heal the division, and I kind of feel like that's hard to do because people are so. I had a conversation with a friend last night at a film screening, and he's so like, it's like, oh, I know what news you watch, or like he's like, I hate that guy, and I'm like, have you ever watched him? No, but I just don't like him. And it's like, but why do you not like them? And also, why would you trust other people to tell you that and not investigate it yourself? People are just they're not curious or not interested in even just seeking out answers. You know, they're just told you shouldn't like this person, so they don't. Like the people that don't like Elon Musk. I get it. He says outrageous things sometimes, fine. But he exposes so many things. And when you look at like what Elon has contributed to the world, whether it's like electric car companies made in America or rockets or other projects that he's worked on, and the people criticizing him, what have you done? What have you accomplished? I reached a breaking point. I reached a breaking point, and I think Elon, those words was a rally for like enough of the stupid, enough of tolerating people that are stupid and can't even engage in a debate where they can defend their own point.
I saw Jimmy Palmiotti on Twitter. I'm going to paraphrase what he said about the Civil War movie. He said, I'd much rather learn a lesson through art than real life. And in principle, I agree with that. But we're learning, but this lesson that's being taught to us is from the fortified woke Hollywood. So no, I would probably reject every single fucking thing in it. And I don't need to learn a lesson from a bunch of detached a-holes in Hollywood. I'd rather learn a lesson from somebody in an AA meeting or talking to Chris or talking to somebody, out there in the chat. That's where you can learn real lessons from. So to think you even still have that kind of fucking influence is nuts. It's still there, but I think this movie would probably not do very well. I think the minute people sniff out that's a Trump stand-in, it's dead. It's fucking dead in the water. But the fact that there's still people who say that and still people who like call out Fox fucking News. For one, it's one news organization that decided to shift away from all the rest who are just repeating the same shit. And people still call out Fox News, which is milquetoast and still pushes a lot of the government shit. We need to start finding it from each other. Go to Tim Pool, go to others, go to Daily Wire if you like somebody. Go find somebody there's somebody with 5 subscribers on YouTube who's telling you the fucking truth. Go find that person, please. And fuck this other shit. But the Texas allying with California. Maybe Austin. Maybe no Austin. Maybe Austin. We put a wall around Austin, but it's Savish for $10 on the Streamlabs side. Say, hey guys, I wanted to ask you how to view the VODs for the Nooner. I have to work midway through the stream and would love to catch up, but after I can't find them. Love you guys and Merry Christmas. Oh, okay. I probably should mention this more during the show. All these go to Nerdrotic Live. So please subscribe to Nerdrotic Live. That's where I archive the Nooners, and that's where Forbidden Frontier is. And for example, tonight I will be on with Ryan Kinnell, and we'll be discussing Reacher on Nerdrotic Live later this evening, because Reacher premieres at 7, and I can't fucking wait. It's Reacher Day. So Reacher Season 2 premieres, and we will be live around, I think, 11 p.m. Eastern. So please subscribe to Nerdrotic Live. We're trying to get it to 100,000. But the thing is, when it gets to 100,000, it turns into the Forbidden Frontier channel, and the other live stuff will go to Nerdrotic Daily. Also subscribe to Nerdrotic Daily. It's run by, I'm an inclusive guy. I don't get any DEI money, and my organization is way more inclusive than anybody else's because I hire Canadians. So the Canadian Perry Chan runs Nerdrotic Daily, where you might see clips from this very live stream there, and he does a great job, and he makes those beautiful thumbnails that trigger so many people.
Yeah, we can talk about it.
We can talk about it a lot. I still get shit for that. Do you believe that?
Oh, do you really? That's
Yeah.
You know what? Whatever. We all need to have a sense of humor about ourselves, and I just think that's the better way to go. But like, yeah. So yeah, I subscribe to all those channels. But Gary, you're closing in on 1 million. I don't know where you are now. We should look. You need to have the biggest million celebration, and I get invited to go on a lot of shows where they're like, oh, I'm like, I don't, what, it's fine. Or birthday streams. I think birthday streams are kind of dumb, honestly.
Yeah.
But maybe it's my age. I don't want to I'm not celebrating birthdays as hard, but
Me neither.
your million stream, million subscriber stream, whatever, you have to do one. It's significant because what it says, there's two things that are significant. One, reaching that million, showing that your ideas have resonated with people and people recognize what you're doing is significant. The other thing is the mainstream media basically being 2 or 4 years behind you, like that, where they're basically just taking things that you've been discussing for so long, and it's just a mainstream story in Variety or something. I'd laugh when I see it. I mean, yeah, that has to be very gratifying. So
it's vindicating for the fans, because I mean, it's just not me saying it. It's like everybody else too. I mean, like we're in touch with this stuff. That's why it's been so laughable when corporatism tried to get into nerddom. It'd be like me trying to learn Mandarin tomorrow and pretending I'm an expert on it. It's like, you guys, you have no idea what you're getting into. You don't understand it. This is completely fan driven. It's generally not political. Yes, there's political stuff within it, but it's generally not political because we could all come together over Star Wars and, Star Trek and all that stuff. And, and all of a sudden, access media sites were calling Star Trek fans, Doctor Who fans. They are right now racist. Star Trek fans. Because there's a huge KKK contingent that loves Star Trek and Doctor Who, which had gay characters, has, the female companion drives the story in Doctor Who. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. It's insane. But yeah, Chris, it hasn't happened yet. If it happens, I don't know. I would probably do something for like charity or something. That would be something I would consider doing.
But I would, you got to celebrate it, man. 1 million. And also,
and I got to write Dan Vasc a song,
wait. So Dan Vasc, he's going to perform a song that you write the lyrics for.
Yes. If I win, if he wins, I sing a Bon Jovi song. I didn't say how I was going to sing it. I didn't say where I was going to sing it, but I will honor the bet. Absolutely 100% honor the bet. And I've even thrown out there that if I win, I'd probably sing it anyway.
Why not?
Why not? Let's have some fun. God. All right. We're going to get to some soups here. All right. Big Raj, thank you for the $1.99 and the thumbs up. Love you, buddy. Big Raj gave me that. Ice T-shirt that says, "I got news for you." Love that shirt. The Quiet Lion for $9.99 in memory of the late Andre Brower. Oh, who passed away. Yes. I highly recommend the short-lived FX series called Thief. He was superb in that. Hail Nerdrotic, hail Film Threat, and happy Nooner to you all. Yeah, rest in peace. Gone too young. 61? 61. Yeah. My dad died at 63. It's like, and at 30, you're like, that's young. But then when you get 54, you're like, that's really young.
Yeah.
Oh, that's sad. Great actor. Great actor. Darth Maul's lower half for $10 says, "Hail Gary and Chris, since Disney Lucasfilm is unwilling to give me the Star Wars I need, I decided to get more familiar with the Star Wars EU. Good. Ryan would be so proud of you. Comics. What's your opinion on experience with the digital comic books? I think digital comic books are an abomination, to be honest with you. But if it's all you can, like, if it's the only way you can access them, and Kindle sucks. Oh, it sucks. If there's a better way to read them, in the chat might have a better way to read them. But Dark Horse did a fucking phenomenal job with Star Wars for many, many years. Many, many years. So I would just dive into the Dark Horse comics. Tales of the Jedi, Shadow of the Empire. There's so much fucking good shit out there that you will love. Start at the beginning. Go to Dark Empire. There's an audio drama of that's quite good. That has, I believe, Billy Day Williams actually voices Lando in it. Also, if you haven't, check out the Star Wars radio show that were produced at USC. That George Lucas gifted the rights to USC, and we got, which is basically it's an expanded Star Wars that's based on the novels. So you get a lot of extra dialogue. You do get some of the Mark Hamill is involved in it. Anthony Daniels is involved in it. I still own those. I don't own very much Star Wars stuff, but the radio shows were fucking great. Remember those, Chris? The PBS radio shows.
Yeah, I used to have the original Star Wars radio show on and Empire Strikes Back on compact discs.
Well, remember they didn't do
little silver discs that people bought that had.
Yes, and remember they didn't do Return of the Jedi until later.
Yeah.
They did it much later and finally finished it up. And I think that was around the 20th anniversary. Correct me if I'm wrong, chat. But they did, they did Star Wars and Empire and stopped for many, many years. The Real Vector for $10. The Civil War movie is the perfect companion to all media propaganda about Trump becoming a dictator if he's reelected. Coincidence? Hell no. Yeah, it's kind of like the end of the Trump season. Is it a season finale of the Trump derangement syndrome series that people with TDS can now stop jerking off to Watergate documentaries and start jerking off to this? It's like right. TDS porn. That's what it is. It's TDS porn. Yeah. TDS porn. Get over it, people. He hasn't been president for 3 years. Yes, he's probably going to be president again. But there's a lot of people who didn't like him 3 years ago who like him now, except for Ann Coulter. Right. Because she didn't get a job from him. What was I going to say about Razor Fist? Oh, and you want a solution without going to civil war? I think what we have to do is have faith in our elections again. And I think one way we have faith in our elections is going back to voting in person. Yes, you have to have an ID in this country for everything, and your identity needs to be checked. Also, what Razor Fist has promoted for, especially California, is the electoral college for California. Because in the places where the cities are getting too big and the outskirts are not being represented, kind of like the UK right now, where London runs everything, the electoral college keeps that from happening. So we need to do that in bigger states. Absolutely need to do that in bigger states. It never happened. What happens is the party that gets in power becomes a super majority by redistricting their state, which is what the Democrats did post Arnold Schwarzenegger, and you're not being represented by your government anymore. You're just not. Democrats will rule California forever, and they have been for decades. And what has changed? It's gotten worse. and people
It's gotten
still
much worse.
fucking vote for them. That's on you. That's where I go. Bye.
We have 2 Dakotas, South Dakota and North Dakota, and they get senators. You know, same with South Carolina and North Carolina.
And they
I
should.
feel like
and
California should be
North
broken
Dakota and
up.
South Dakota are. Yeah, I agree, Chris. I
Yeah.
see where you're going there. Sorry, go on.
Yeah. No. It's just like California. You could do North and South California, and you could kind of, I don't know. I just think that what's weird is it's like 2 cities have 2 cities kind of run the whole state. San Francisco and LA, and it sucks. San Diego was it's more purple now, I'll say.
It was always red, and it's
Yes.
getting it's purple fading into blue, and it's turning into South Los Angeles. That's the unfortunate thing. It used to be a very unique, clean, nice place to live, very suburban. The beaches were pretty much until you get down to Tijuana, and then shit gets kind of weird. But yeah, it's not that anymore. Homeless are everywhere. Homeless problem is ridiculous, and you coined the term to me anyway. I don't know where you heard it. It's the homeless industrial complex. These cities make money. They get federal money for how many homeless people they have. Kind of think of it as a school. You know, each public school gets a certain amount of money per student. The city gets a certain amount of money per homeless person.
That is 100% true. And they have services that manage, their health services. And we have homeless people who have cell phones. So in these little tents made out of whatever, refuse and garbage that are on the streets, lining the streets.
We have overweight homeless people with cell phones.
Right. Yeah. That's where we are. So they're just keeping people who are mentally ill or struggling with drug dependence. We're keeping them on the streets because we won't actually institutionalize them. And that's what we're doing now. If you look, this is like years ago. God, I saw some other interesting study. They were talking about the number of people who were institutionalized. And this is what like other countries don't have this problem. If you go to like Japan, they don't have people on the streets because they take care of people that cannot function in society. And they don't punish everyone else for people that are
I love that everybody blames Reagan for closing the places down, and he did, but that was 40 fucking years ago. We've had a few presidents that could have opened them back up since then. So stop with that shit. Oh, fucking Lincoln. You know, it's like, dude, there's a time where you can blame the guy, and then like he's been dead for years. It's what has anybody new done? You know, but that's that fucking narrative in California is remember Larry Elder, famous Los Angeles Times headline, "The black face of white supremacy."
Right.
They called him the black face of. You can't take media seriously anymore after that. You just can't. I don't. So Latino Slant says Gary taco flexing with Guadalupe Gore. Hell yeah, that's right. That's right. I had some good breakfast tacos this morning, made by Mrs. Nerdrotic. From Dusk Till Dawn for $9.99. Today's comic haul: Michael Moorcock Multiverse, reprints of Creepy Magazine, Kelly Jones book, hell yeah, a Barry Windsor Smith Storytellers, hell yeah, Cancel Pigs at the Tiny Two. I fucking love that from Dusk Till Dawn. I will give you credit. The Tiny Two. Won't get a dime off me. Support your local comic shop. Please do. Please do. And Kelly Jones is a great guy. Chris, great guy. New Cap has an adamantium afro to protect him. Oh, okay, Jester of Roanoke.
Sure. All right.
So that's it. John Walker did nothing wrong, says Peter Gorembe for $10. You're absolutely right. Play the high note for $5 Australian, says, hey, Chris, have you heard anything if David Lynch is working on anything new for Netflix?
I have not heard that, but that would be exciting. I'm a huge David Lynch fan.
Yes.
I think that he was one of those filmmakers. This was like who could make something mainstream, but it's not mainstream through the lens of his eye, right? Like, so that was. I mean, we're living in a time where very, very few directors have the kind of liberties that filmmakers had back in the day. Everything has become overly corporate, and it's run by people that A, don't understand the audience, and B, don't understand film history. and don't even understand what makes good entertainment. It's really weird. Like there have been executives there have been eras where there were executives that understood the audience, that were passionate about making great things. Jeffrey Katzenberg, you may or may not know who he was really the one heading up the lead when it came to the revitalization of Disney in the late 80s, early 90s. All those like 2D animated, effectively Broadway musicals are all great because of Jeffrey Katzenberg. He is one of those executives that gets it, but there are so few like that now, you know? So
Yeah.
I don't know. Is James Gunn going to have the power? We've got a Jimmy Olsen that has freckles.
That was shocking.
That was shocking.
That was shocking.
I sent that to you while it was like real BBC because I couldn't believe it. And I thought, oh, you guys have to talk about this. I think I bug you a little too much during real BBC.
No, you don't. Keep bugging. No, it's good to like because I can't be checking new stuff. So no, absolutely keep bugging, please.
If something breaks, I'll pop.
No, dude, Chris is like a semi-producer. He sends us a bunch of good stuff.
Ghost producer.
But
it's like I know what you're interested in. I know the show because I watch the show. Real BBC is my favorite like background. I'm working on stuff and you guys chatting, it's so great. It's awesome.
Thanks. It's fun.
But yeah.
And people like the Nooner too.
Yeah.
Fing Book for $3 says they don't have POS screenings for me. SOB. Yeah, I want a piece of shit screening. I would qualify for a POS screening.
Yeah. I'll talk to Alan about it tomorrow. He's annoyed by it because he'll ask the guy like, "Hey, I want to bring a +1." I don't consider myself Alan's boss. We work together. I don't like that whole hierarchy of like I'm his boss. Like, nah, we work together. I mean, like there are areas where I'm more in charge. There are areas where he's more in charge. He's more in charge of the website. But we are like we work together. We're partners, So. Like he's trying to get me in and it's just like this. I don't know why they're doing this. It's divisive. It reminds me of, have you seen this story yet about the Boston mayor that's doing a Christmas party only for, I've never heard this word before. Electeds of color. Have you heard this?
No.
So an email was sent out by the mayor of Boston but it went to everybody. And it was supposed to be only for electeds of color. That's everyone who works in the city. It's basically no white. It's the no white people.
It's
party.
the no white party. Elected. Fuck that. Just say no white.
Yeah.
Say what you mean.
But the word electeds, like using it like a noun is weird.
I know.
Electeds of color.
We have elected a lot of dumb shits. Okay.
Yeah. So I just heard that this morning and it's just like more stupid, more divisive.
We're getting into,
I don't like it.
We're in the parody world and I'm for the acceleration, by the way. I'm for them unmasking themselves like the cancel pigs unmask it. Let's accelerate this process to get it over with. The study about kids not wanting love stories. I'm for it. I'm never getting married or having kids, and love is dead besides women wanted it, MGTOW. Okay. Caleb, I used to think like that too when I was, I never wanted to walk away from women, but I'm a big fan of, I know Will Ferrell came out and said women should run the world. I'm a big fan of men and women running the world.
Let's keep it even.
Let's keep it even. It worked pretty good as a team. Kind of like the family unit,
You act like there would be less war if women were running things.
It'd be just as much.
It'd be just as much, if not more.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say, I don't think that if Hillary got into office, we'd be living in an age of peace. So,
no. Have you seen George Bush with tits? That what the fuck is her name? The second place one.
Nikki Haley.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, that bitch will start World War III. Sophie for $2. Say you identify as black or Asian. What the fuck? Oh yeah, we aren't thinking, Sophie. You're right.
Transracial's a thing, right?
Transracial's a thing. You're absolutely right. We were not thinking woke enough, Sophie. Thank you for correcting us. Frank Hernandez for $5 says, "Hi, hail Gary and Chris and Nooners. I'm Filipino and Mexican, and I don't like how Hollywood is treating white people. Not cool, man. No, it's not cool.
Sorry, Gary.
Go on.
No. I'm just like, this is what needs to happen. This is what needs to happen. People, the so-called POC, I've never called anyone that. My friend Paulie is Paulie. I don't call Paulie my Latino friend. Paulie is my friend. Dante James, who I also know that you know. Hey, we hung out all during San Diego Comic-Con. I've been friends with Dante for years. Dante is not my black friend. That is a stupid, midget-minded way to think.
Yep.
Dante is my friend Dante James. I don't think of my friend Ramesh as my friend of Indian. My friend Ramesh is my friend Ramesh. This stupid way of classifying people is irritating. It needs to end and stop. And the people pushing division need to be called out, and they need to be called out by other people. This is why I said Paulie's a great guy. Subscribe to Latino Slant. I want to see him get to 100,000. And Dante James, Verbal Riot Show. Shout out to his channel. He's about to relaunch it. I'm just saying, have you ever thought that way in your life, Gary? Like,
no,
like, it's so weird.
No, maybe when I hired people at the store, I hired people who I thought were really enthusiastic, really good talkers, good with the customers, really friendly with some comic knowledge. They had to pass a little test. It's a basic test. They all did. And you met one of my ex-employees. And he's a good, fun, enthusiastic guy. And I don't care what they look like or who they slept with or what God they prayed to. And, I had a pretty good mix of people. I was essentially the only white guy who ever worked at my comic shop.
There you go.
And it was just, I never fucking thought about it. Right. It's just like, hey, this person seems like they'd be really good here. And that's how it would be customers. And I'm like, you ever thought about working in a comic shop? You're pretty good. Because they would hang out all fucking day and help. I'm like, well, you're practically working here already. So why don't I just put you on the payroll? And that's how it worked, and none of that ever went into my frame of mind, and it never would. It never would.
Right. Same. It's just like, I've never thought that way. I've never thought that way to classify people a certain way. And by the way, Film Threat, just organically, we have a lot of different types of writers, men, women, people, different sexual persuasions, whatever. Are you super passionate about film? And you could be super passionate about a type of film that I'm not even into. But I really more look for people that have varied interests in movies, right? So it's like, I love documentaries. I'm the doc guy. Okay, fine. So, but I've never, it's just weird to me that people so hyper focus on this. And I think a lot of it is coming from colleges, and a lot of it is coming from one side of the political aisle that feels the need to capitalize on this to divide people. And there's a movie about that. I talked about it with my friend. I know I brought this up a bunch of times. There's a movie about that's based on a comic strip from the 1930s that turned into a serial that became a movie called Flash Gordon.
Yep.
About a totalitarian dictator that kept the kingdoms of Mongo fighting amongst themselves as a way to distract from what the real threat is, which was Ming the Merciless.
Mm-hmm.
Not Ing the Merciless, but Ming the Merciless.
Ing the Merciless is a threat, though, nonetheless.
Yeah, Ing the Merciless is a big threat.
Reseth the Cripple for $5 says, I'm convinced Gary only likes Scrooge because his childhood crush from Raiders is in it. Otherwise, it's mid at best. How dare you? How dare you? Reseth the Crip. Scrooge is one of my favorite all-time Christmas movies, directed by Richard Donner. And yes, I had a crush on Karen Allen. Guilty as charged. Me and a million other kids my age who watched her walk on the surface. It was was it the submarine? And
the crunchy bush.
Yep.
See, look, I think in the later releases of it, they downplayed it. Having seen that in the theater in its first run, when Raiders of the Lost,
every 12-year-old kid's eyes went.
I mean, those were my eyes, by the way, not something else. I'm just saying,
yeah.
I'm watching that movie, and you're seeing this thin negligee, right?
She ain't wearing no underwear.
On the top, definitely no underwear, and it's a very visible triangle shape. That's all I'll say. Read into it what you want. So, yeah, good times. Good times.
Captain Spire for $10 says, devastated by a tornado, Joplin, Missouri gave the middle finger to the government, got the neighborhood together to rebuild and thrive. New Orleans, to this day, has broken flood damaged homes and areas. Yes. There's a point where, like, as much as we put into the government, which is the biggest corporation in the world, there's still disasters that are beyond them because they waste so much money. And they're not going to save you. They're not going to save you. So you need, like, when I live somewhere, no matter how much money I had, it's where I could, but I'm also not going to live somewhere like one of the reasons I didn't move to Florida. I'm like, and it's just paranoia. You're going to be fine in Florida, but I'm like, most of the state's below sea level. Nah.
It's also really hot and humid. I don't like I don't mind the heat, the humidity.
But I also lived in a state. Yeah, you still live in a state that could fall into the ocean. So
that's true.
If a big enough earthquake happens.
But Superman will fix it because he'll just he'll just fix the crack.
First day there's a class called IPS. I'm going to read a few more and we'll get out of here. But there's a quick story.
Sure.
They used to teach science in school in junior high, and I had a class called Introduction to Personal Science, IPS. Mr. Click or Flick, one of the I can't remember. He had a really funny last name. It was Click or Flick. It was Oak Crest Junior High School in Encinitas, California. His first fucking class, he sits us down and explains for an hour how California could fall into the ocean. Scared the shit out of everybody. It was great. It was great. But he explained it in very scientific terms, like, you've been told California will fall into the ocean, and you've been told that this couldn't happen. I'm going to tell you how it could. And that was his first class. We're like 12, 13 going, good old days of school.
I remember, do you remember, did you ever learn, I saw a documentary and I got the book, The Predictions of Nostradamus.
Yeah, I've got that book.
Is that, okay, because now I've been getting into Forbidden Frontiers, which I feel like I'm so behind. You guys are like I'm just listening to learn, and I love hearing all these theories about that there have been previous advanced civilizations that all, evidence of them or most evidence is wiped out. There were pyramids all over the world. Like, what were they for? Anyways, but reading The Predictions of Nostradamus, I was in high school, saw a documentary, read a book, really depressed the hell out of me. Because, I don't know if you ever do an episode about Nostradamus, I'd love to be a part of it on a Sunday night.
Of course. Well,
we're trying to wrap up the show. And I'm just extending it. So apologies.
Rating, by the way, for Jeff Smith for 50 euros. 50. Rating always doing D down, talking about bi generation. Male presenting docs a clown, talking about this song. Ratings always going to down, talking about bi generation. Male presenting doctors a clown, talking about bi generation. Things they do look awful wrong, talking about my bi generation. I hope this dies before too long, talking about my bi generation. Well done. Jeff Smith. That was great. Nice. Gary, the Prison Wife to YouTube Life documentary. That's a title suggestion for the book. I think we've already decided, and you guys will find out. But yes, I'm doing a memoir-ish book that is not a glorification of drug use. It's essentially, it's a book version of what I share when I'm asked to share at AA meetings. Experience, strength, and hope. That's what it is. But it's not supposed to be glorification of anything. There's some funny shit in it, but it's mostly me being stupid. That book will be out next year, early next year. We will have it all done, printed, ready to go before we start pre-orders. But I think it's going to be more of you'll be able to buy it on Amazon, right? It'll have it'll be available on Amazon, but we're trying to get with the publisher to print us enough up front so we can do where you can just order them directly from me.
It would see if you could order it directly from you, Gary. If you could let Mrs. Nerdrotic know that I had something. I'm writing a little quote for that you may or may not use in the promotion of the book. Who knows? But tell her I'm sorry I couldn't get it to her. I had to do the Nooner today, so my apologies. I'm gonna get it to her. But like if you could buy it direct from you, then you could have like signed copies possibly, or maybe like
we're doing hardcovers too.
Like a bookmark, like a special bookmark you only get if you get it direct from you. Because I make more money on direct sales of my movie Attack of the Doc. Like I just make more money. If you buy the Blu-ray direct from me, I get more money. That's my preferred. When people say they want to buy it, please get the Blu-ray. It's also
we have to talk the publisher into printing enough books up front, which is it's something I paid for already, but they're not going to want to do it because it's not super cost effective to them, but tough. That's what I
hear
say.
you. I hear you.
They're already up my butt because I'm lagging on some stuff, and it's like, well,
that's normal. Most books.
I told them when we started this process, I'm like, I have this to do. This is the priority. So,
but just so you don't feel bad, Gary, most books deliver 1 year late. Like this is just the reality in the publishing industry that I always heard is that most books, when they sign the deal, you've got about 18 months to write the book, and they're usually a year late on average. Yeah. I think George R.R. Martin kind of upped that average.
I think he upped the average a little bit.
Yeah, he threw off that bell curve, but that is just general across the industry.
On a side note, have you seen House of the Dragon? Did you watch it all the way through?
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah,
okay.
I loved it. Yeah, I'll watch it a second time through when the new one comes out. That new teaser looks pretty dang good.
It looked pretty effing good, and it's better the second time around. It's even better.
Yeah. Oh, it's better. Yeah, because
it's better.
Yeah.
Off the corner says Gary for $20. Thank you very much, Gary. I know this is off topic, but don't worry about it here. But I know you're a comic book dude, so here it goes. Claremont Byrne, Uncanny X-Men from the 70s through the 80s is the best run comic books ever. Fight me. Second best to me, because I think that it's a longer run than Frank Miller's Daredevil. So I'll give you that. But I would even go so far as to say 1B. But Daredevil's run on but Frank Miller's run on Daredevil for me is my favorite run of all time. But I can't fight you on that because more people believe, and they probably be right, that Claremont Byrne run. We go Claremont Cockrum, Claremont Byrne run is fucking all-time great. They'll never equal it. The Square Up has been moved to Thursday night, by the way. Sorry. It's Thursday night because tonight. No, wait. No, the Square Up's going to be tonight. And tomorrow is Reacher. So Square Up tonight, tomorrow Reacher. Saw Godzilla -1 4 times on IMAX. What a film. Says MJO Skyver for $2. Cheers. Magnum Norris for $20. It's almost profitable theater. It's the most profitable theater because an alcohol movie reviewer named Al Gore lives right next to it. Love you, Chris. When is Dune 2 coming out, bruh?
March 1st.
March 1st.
Moved it up 2 weeks. I don't know why, but they just did. It's had 3 different release dates. I mean, maybe 4 if you know. But yeah, I can't. That new trailer, I'm so pumped for it. I could not be more excited about any movie. And it's like what Denis Villeneuve said. And we've finally seen Austin Butler as Fade Rotha, like actually doing stuff. He said in the beginning, this is years ago when it was first announced he's doing it, he said, I want to do an adult Star Wars. This is the problem. And Mahler did a great video about that. Like Star Wars hasn't grown up. It's still for kids. And the interesting thing about a franchise like Harry Potter, it aged up as the audience also aged up with it. And Star Wars hasn't done that at all. And Dune like recognizes like, hey, there are people that like that stuff. Let's do it. Let's do something more deeper, more meaningful. And couldn't be more excited.
Yeah. I mean, Rebel Moon's coming out too.
Right.
We'll see it. We'll see how it is.
I'll watch it. I might get a screener of that one early. I'll let you know.
Yeah, it's coming out in theaters on the 15th, but just in LA, New York, London, and Toronto.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's a 70 millimeter screening in LA on the 15th.
Maybe I'll see it this week, and I'm gonna look for it now.
Yep. Hey guys, Gary, remind people to check every time as YouTube unsubscribes at will. You could be closer than you think. Says Rhapsody Elgato for $3. They do bot scrubbing, and there's collateral damage, and that happens every day. It happens. They do it heavily on the weekend. So Saturday's a big day for them to do that. That's been going on for years. You always want to check. You know, I do periodically. I remind people in before the videos, and that really does help. So thanks everybody who has subscribed, by the way. I really appreciate it. All right, we're going to have to get the rest. Inside of the Ages, Flight of the Navigator, largely made by creatives that had never made a film before. These large corps won't risk that. Nepotism is the cause of the dead movies being made. It's the Tower of Babel. You're not wrong. That's one of the major factors is nepotism, and you know it. But where the agenda comes in is now it's not just who you know, it's who you know and what your politics are. That's how it is. And it's not very good. And you're right, it kills creativity. Danger UXO for $10. Two of my favorite DC comics were Batman and Superman raising landmine awareness. There you go. I just watched Doomed, the Fantastic Four story doc with Chris Gore last night. It explains that Hollywood has been terrible for a long time. Would love to see this version of the FF action figures, says Bob Jester 28 for $10. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, we had a great time watching it. He said Doomed. I watched Doomed with Chris Gore last night. Yes. No, I'm actually in the doc.
Yes.
He didn't hang out last night. But oddly enough, in the next week or so, we're going to have the actor who played Reed Richards in that Roger Corman movie is going to be live on our live stream doing an interview. He has a book. His name is Alex Hyde White. He was actually in one of the Indiana Jones movies. I'm forgetting which one, but he's going to be on the Film Threat live stream. I'll tell you what day in a second, but it's on Wednesday, December 20th, a week from today. Alex Hyde White. I may have to move it. But yes, he's going to be a guest on, so we can talk to him. Cool.
Dan the Jedi says, today is my mother-loving birthday. It's been an amazing day. Woke up with a bunch of old Batman comics, including the entire Nightfall arc. Hell yeah. 5 Canadian pesos. Happy birthday. All right, we'll get the rest on a Square Up, which will be tonight. Later tonight on Nerdrotic Live. If just hang on to this link. It goes unlisted, but just hang on to the link and you can continue watching it, or you can watch it on Nerdrotic Live. Audio versions are available on Spotify and Apple Music and other places. You can go directly to nerdrotic.com and listen to this stuff too and watch this stuff. We post all the podcasts up there, and that's what feeds all the podcasts. So what do you got coming up, Chris?
Hollywood on the Rocks with Ing the Merciless, Alan Ing, and we'll be at the top of the hour at 1 p.m., which gives me plenty of time to eat something.
Go eat.
Brush my teeth. I don't know. What am I doing? Cool, man. Hey, I always love hanging out with you. It's just like catching up with a friend and chilling and talking about stuff that's effed up or stuff that we like.
Truly blessed that a job is shooting the shit with Chris Gore, my buddy Chris Gore. Thanks, guys. That's I don't know if I deserve that or not, but thank you. I really, it's the fucking best job in the world. And we love, and I'm like, we're so grateful and happy that you guys are entertained by it. So thank you to the Modrotics. You guys are awesome. Thanks to everyone who left a super chat donation. You help keep the lights on around here. Go watch Film Threat Hollywood on the Rocks at the top of the hour.
And one last plug. We did an award show
that's right.
on Sunday, hosted by Lila Hart. Please watch the show, at least so it gets the views. We did this show, and it's the whole purpose of it is to do an anti-Hollywood award show. The opening shot of the show is this woman in a pink wig with nose ring and all sorts of piercings. She's walking down the aisle and sits next to a guy wearing a red hat. Where it goes from there, and it's a comedy bit that runs through the show. I don't want to ruin it too much, but like also just you can tell from the opening of the show. If you just watch the first 5 minutes, John Bailey's our announcer, Lila Hart is our host, Alan and I give out awards, Lila gives out awards, and it's all sorts of indie films. The Dave Stevens documentary, those filmmakers were there. I'm not going to say whether they won or not, but like documentaries that Gary, I'm telling you that you would be into, like pop culture docs. It's true indie movies, these small indie movies. This is the Iron Age. This is the beginning of a revolution in independent film. And if you watch the show, you're going to find 5 or 6 movies at least that you're going to want to see. So please watch Award This on the Film Threat YouTube channel. Give it a view.
Hell yeah.
Awesome.
Hell yeah. I'm going to be watching Reacher. I think we got through 4 episodes. So we got 4 episodes to go. Matthew Marsden, our boy, Matthew Marsden's in it, plays Reacher's dad.
Nice.
So watching season 1 again, it's so fucking good. And then tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Central? 10 a.m. Central? Tomorrow morning, I'm going to be on Geeks and Gamers Daily with Ryan. And then Friday morning, Chris will be on.
No, I think for me, it's
It's like
8
8.
a.m.
It's
8 a.m.
So it's 10 Central for me. And then we got Friday Night Tights with Mahler and Disparu. And then tomorrow night, I'll be with Ryan and maybe some others if they want to join. We're going to discuss the first 3 episodes of Reacher that are dropping tomorrow. It's dropping tomorrow. So until next time, we'll see you next Wednesday with Chris Gore. Take care, everyone.
Peace.